Hi readers, Lee here. Welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads, and welcome to Book Talk Tuesday. Today's edition is on the Booker Prize. So, if you're like me, I only recently, in the last year or two, became aware of the Booker Prize and what it was. And, so what it is, it's open to any works of long-form fiction by writers of any nationality, written in English, and published in the UK or Ireland. So last Tuesday, the 30th or 31st, I gotta put my glasses on. Tuesday, July 30th, they announced the long list, which is 13 books. It's called the Booker's Dozen. And the short list that will be announced on Monday, September 16th. All the shortlisted authors receive $2,500 in a specially bound edition of their book. The winner will be announced on Tuesday, 12 November in London. The winner will receive £50,000 and can expect international recognition and significant uplift in global sales. The last year's winner was... Sorry for scrolling. Last year's winner was Prophet Song. I forgot the author's name. Was not prepared for this, apparently. And it saw a 1,500% increase in sales. I have the book. I have not read it yet. So, one of the chair of the Booker Prize for 2024 calls this list, or says about this list, this is timely and timeless fiction in which there is much at stake. Here are books that unfold with quietness and stealth, as well as books that are incendiary. There are books that navigate what it means to belong, to be displaced, and to return. Crossing borders and crossing generations, we find ourselves in a boxing ring in the U.S., in a small Irish town, in a convent in Australia, deep underground in rural France. Which one is that? Etc., etc., etc. These are not books about issues. They are works of fiction that inhabit ideas by making us care deeply about people and their predicaments, their singularity in a world that can be indifferent or hostile. The precarity of lives runs through our long list like quicksilver. Anyway, so of the 13 books, I have 6. 3 were recent purchases for me. Imagine that. Actually, probably 5 were recent, 3 were yesterday. I've had one of them, and I'll go through the ones I have, not the entire long list. The first one that I want to talk about is Headshot by Rita Bulwinkel. This is going to be my next read. I am currently just starting Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. Prior to this, I finished Atonement, which was really a heavy read, so I need something light, especially before I pick up Headshot. But this is one that just sounds timely and intriguing. As you know, the Olympics are going on. I almost said the gymnastics. That's the main thing that I watch. Olympics are going on right now, and this is about women's boxing. An unexpected tragedy at a community pool, a family's unrelenting expectation of victory, the desire to gain or lose control, to make time speed up or stop, to be frighteningly, undeniably good at something. Each of the 8 teenage girl boxers in this blistering debut novel has her own reasons for the sacrifices she has made to come to Reno. To compete to be named the best in the country. I am struggling today. Through a series of face-offs that are raw, ecstatic, and punctuated by flashes of humor and tenderness, prize-winning writer Rita Bulwinkel animates the competitors' past and futures as they summon the emotion, imagination, and force of will required to win. Oh, so written story collections, but I think this is her first novel. I really look forward to reading this. It starts out like this. Andy Taylor is pumping her hands together, hitting her own flat stomach, thinking not of her mother sitting at home with her little brother, not of her car, which barely got her here, not of her summer job, her lifeguarding at the overcrowded community pool, not of the 4-year-old she watched die, the 4-year-old she practically killed, and his blue cheeks. So definitely need something light before I read this, but this is going to be my next read. I really look forward to this. Again, it feels timely and interesting and different. So I am not a huge boxing fan, women or men's. I just don't understand the desire to punch people and to be punched in return. So just not me. So I like the idea of going into that and learning a little bit more about that lifestyle. Next up is one that I've had for a while, and I was actually considering giving it a read next, but I want to read Headshot first. It may be a minute before I get to that, and that is James by Percival Everett. I discovered Percival Everett this year. He's new to me, not to the world, because of the movie American Fiction. And before I watched that, I read the book Erasure, which is what American Fiction is based on, and really liked it. I felt like some of it went over my head, so I wish I had somebody to talk to about it. But nevertheless, enjoyed it, and now I want to read more Percival Everett. I think I have another Percival Everett book around here. The Trees, I think. I have no idea where it is. I need to get myself organized. James is a reimagining of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, told from the perspective of Jim. I'm considering, some people have, some people haven't, but I'm considering doing a reread of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain before I read this. So I'm not sure if it'll make a difference or not, so that's why I've been on the fence about starting this, because I don't know if it's necessary or if it will enhance the reading experience of James. In James, when Jim overhears that he is about to be sold to a man in New Orleans, separated from his wife and daughter forever, he runs away until he can formulate a plan. Meanwhile, Huck has faked his own death to escape his violent father. As all readers of American literature know, thus begins the dangerous and transcendent journey by raft down the Mississippi River toward the elusive and unreliable promise of the Free States and beyond. I may have to read Huck Finn before this because I do not remember anything about it. So definitely want to get to this one this year. All of the rest of these I probably bought because of Greg over at Supposedly Fun. I do not remember when I purchased the last two. It was a couple weeks ago. But these next two that I'm going to talk about, spoiler alert, not a spoiler. So, on Saturday and Sunday mornings, usually I wake up, I drink coffee, and I watch the YouTube videos that have come out over the past week of the people I follow. And Greg usually does one Saturday mornings, and so I'll watch that and anything I may have missed. And then inevitably, as I'm watching, I'm sitting there on my phone looking up at Barnes & Noble or Amazon where to get those books. And if they have them for pickup in store at my local Barnes & Noble, I add them to my cart and I buy them while I'm sitting in bed drinking coffee. And that's what happened yesterday. Today's Sunday when I'm recording this, I managed to not do that this morning, although the day's not over yet. Anywho, another on the Booker Longlist is the Safekeep by Yael van der Wouden. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. This seems to me like it's got a little bit of gothic vibe to it. It's billed as an exquisitely tense tale of desire, suspicion, and possession. A house is a precious thing. It's 1961, and the rural Dutch province of Overijssel is quiet. I do not know if I pronounced that correctly. Bomb craters have been filled, buildings reconstructed, and the war is well and truly over. Living alone in her late mother's country home, Isabel knows her life is as it should be, led by routine and discipline. But all is upended when her brother Louis delivers his graceless new girlfriend, Eva, at Isabel's doorstep as a guest there to stay for the season. Eva is Isabel's antithesis. She sleeps late, walks loudly through the house, and touches things she shouldn't. In response, Isabel develops a fury-filled obsession, and when things start disappearing around the house, a spoon, a knife, a bowl, Isabel's suspicions begin to spiral. In the sweltering peak of summer, Isabel's paranoia gives way to infatuation, leading to a discovery that unravels all she's ever known. The war might not be well and truly over after all, and neither Eva nor the house in which the two women live are what they seem. So this sounds interesting. Again, to me it's got a little bit of a gothic feel, so I feel like I should probably read that when it's colder, but I don't like to say I'm a mood reader, but maybe I am. Who knows? Next up, I have not read There, and I deliberately did not buy it now. I want to read this one as a standalone and then see how it works for me. So next up on the list is Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. This is not set in the time period that I most often read. This is set in Colorado, 1864. Star, a young survivor of the Sand Creek Massacre, is brought to the Fort Marion prison castle where he is forced to learn English and practice Christianity by Richard Henry Pratt, an evangelical prison guard who will go on to found the Carlisle Indian Industrial School, an institution dedicated to the eradication of Native history, culture, and identity. A generation later, Star's son Charles is sent to the school where he is brutalized by the man who was once his father's jailer. Under Pratt's harsh treatment, Charles clings to the moments he shares with a young fellow student, Opal Viola, as the two envision a future away from the institutional violence that follows their bloodlines. Wandering Stars is a novel about the epigenetic and generational trauma that has the force and vision of a modern epic, an exceptionally powerful new book from one of the most exciting writers at work today, and soaring confirmation of Tommy Orange's monumental gifts. So, new time frame for me. It seems like it's going to be set in two timelines, and yes, part one before 1924, and I don't know what the other timeline is. So, I do look forward to reading this, and then afterwards I will probably go out and get There. I've had my hand on There in the bookstore many times, and I'm going to stop myself from picking up my phone and purchasing it right now. Anywho. Next up is another one that I felt like I want to read soon. Again, it feels timely. That is Hisham Matar's My Friends. One evening, as a young boy growing up in Benghazi, Khalid hears a bizarre short story read aloud on the radio about a man being eaten alive by a cat, and has the sense that his life has been altered forever. Obsessed by the power of these words and by their enigmatic author, Hussam Zawa, Khalid eventually embarks on a journey that will take him far from home to pursue a life of the mind at the University of Edinburgh. Don't start reading the book on camera, Lee. There, thrust into an open society that is light years away from the world he knew in Libya, Khalid begins to change. In London, he attends a protest against the Gaddafi regime, only to watch it explode into tragedy. In a flash, Khalid finds himself injured, clinging to life, and unable to leave Britain, much less return to the country of his birth. To even tell his mother and father back home what he has done on tapped phone lines would expose them to danger. When a chance encounter in a Paris hotel brings him face to face with Hisham Zoa, the author of the fateful short story, Khalid is subsumed into the deepest friendship of his life. It is a friendship that not only sustains him, but eventually forces him, as the Arab Spring erupts, to confront agonizing tensions between revolution and safety, family and exile, and how to define his own sense of self against those closest to him. Again, this feels timely. The Arab Spring was not long ago, well, ish, and there's a lot going on in the Arab-speaking world right now. Finally, I talked about this one in a video I did maybe last week, maybe the week before, and that is This Strange Eventful History by Claire Messud. I've not read any Claire Messud books before. I don't think so. This is, again, in keeping with something that has become a pattern this year, and this is a family saga. This spans 7 decades, from 1940 to 2010. The Pied Noir Cassars live in an itinerant state, separated in the chaos of World War II, running from a complicated colonial homeland, and after Algerian independence, without a homeland at all. This book is told with a historical sweep, is above all a family story of patriarch Gaston and his wife Lucienne, whose myth of perfect love sustains them and stifles their children, of Francois and Denise, devoted siblings connected by their family's strangeness, of Francois' union with Barbara, a woman so culturally different they can barely comprehend one another, of Chloe, the result of that union, who believes that telling these buried stories will bring them all peace. Inspired in part by long-ago stories from her own family's history, Claire Messud animates her characters' rich interior lives amid the social and political upheaval of the recent past. I'm going to have to get to these before they announce the shortlist. So, when did I say they announced that? September? Let me look back on my phone. I can read 6 books between now and 16 September. Surely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess I know what I'll be doing. Anywho, that is the beginning. Okay, now I'm wrapping up Book Talk Tuesday. Have you read any of these? I'd love to hear about it. I am thinking about starting a weekly reads to publish on Monday that will cover all the books that I read the week before. And I thought about this because yesterday I posted my monthly wrap-up, and I had so many books to talk about that I really couldn't give them the time that they deserved. I don't want to do, a video post for each book, because I can't talk for 20 minutes about one book, but I can about 4 or 5. So, and I like to keep mine around the 20 to 30 minute mark, unless it's a short. Anywho, I will see how that goes and hopefully start that next week. And hopefully I'll have gotten through some of these at least. I'd love to hear, again, if you're familiar with the Booker Prize, if you've read any of these books, if you have any of the other books that are on the long list that you have read or recommend. Anywho, sorry I have been stumbling today. I don't know what's going on with me. that is it for me right now. I'll see you tomorrow with probably a book haul. I think I've landed on that because I have a lot more books that I have not talked about. Anywho, happy reading!